This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview travelers, explorers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the best tips and stories from around the world. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast here on YouTube. If you can, help me out. Go down below, hit that subscribe button. I'd super appreciate it. Got another episode for you from the Hunt Fish Podcast Summit down in Texas, featuring the one and only, two and only, Turner and Hayden Rowland of the Turner Rowland podcast. These dudes are some outdoors badasses. They're super young, they're super talented, and I learned a bunch from them. Check out the Turner Rowland podcast if you can. He's got some great guests, awesome info about hunting, fishing, exploration, and it's awesome stuff. So make sure you check that out. But enough of that, let's dive right into it. All right, cool. Let's get to it because you guys got an early start in the morning. Well, it's super nice to finally meet both of you. I've heard so much. Derek's always going on about the the brothers. You know, you guys are always going after it. So before we just dive into shit, it's super awesome to meet you guys. And how does this weekend go for you, or multiple day adventure? What the hell? I don't know what day we're on. Yeah. Well, likewise, Paul. It's great to meet you, and thanks for having us on your podcast. And the weekend's going great, man. It's disappointing nobody killed a bird. But boy, it's just so awesome to see this country. I've never been in this sort of ecosystem or environment or whatever you want to call it. I've never hunted Rio Grandes, and I came away with, 9 new friends? Yeah. It's been fantastic. And, Derek for putting it together and Gene for hosting it. Nothing but gratitude. Yeah. So one thing, I'm scrolling through you guys' Instagram, checking out the podcast and stuff. You are some outdoors motherfuckers, dude. Holy shit. I was looking through this. I was like, I don't know what, I can't even compete with what you guys have done you're well accomplished. I'll say that for being pretty damn young. So I appreciate it. And you guys, you know that you grew up with the outdoors, but a lot of people don't. So how was your lifestyle growing up? Are you just outdoors all the time, 24/7? I know your dad's a little bit into that stuff.
Yeah. So we've got a pretty unique background. Turner and I are both conks, which means that you were born in Key West, Florida. So we lived there for our childhood. Then we moved up to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we went to high school. And then now Turner and I are both in Montana, in Bozeman, both going to Montana State University, getting after it, trying to hunt elk, turkey, applying for sheep, mountain goat, bison, anything that we can do. So for those of you who don't know, Turner and I's dad is Captain Tom Rowland of Saltwater Experience. Arguably one of, you could make an argument to say that he is a pretty good fisherman. Yeah, I would say so. So growing up, we had a rod in our hand as soon as we had the dexterity to do so, which meant a lot of time on the water. Did that growing up, and then I got really into bass fishing in Tennessee, and Turner got really into turkey hunting. We kind of swapped. I taught him bass fishing. He taught me turkey hunting. Nice. And then, like I said, out in Montana, just getting after it as much as we can.
Yeah, that Montana lifestyle is when you think of outdoors, no matter where you're from, in the world, it's Montana. Was that a conscious decision to move out there?
It was an interesting decision, to say the least. I was lucky enough to have a buddy come out here. It was a weird journey, man. I wanted to go to the Naval Academy really bad. I wanted to wrestle for them. And I was diagnosed with this eye disease called keratoconus, which disqualified me from military service and any sort of law enforcement. And so I was just kind of lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And, the past 5 years of it have been training for the Navy and really putting everything I had into that. And all of a sudden, I was left with a decision to make, a decision that I thought would be pretty much made for me, either Naval Academy or OTC. Mm-hmm. And I grew up hearing all these stories about out west, and my dad was a trout fishing guide out of Jackson and Driggs, Jackson, Wyoming, Driggs, Idaho for I think 7 or 8 years, and he worked in Yellowstone National Park before that, and that's kind of where he got his start in fly fishing. And so I had a buddy going out there, one of my best buds, and so it wasn't really a decision. I was like, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. Like, that sounds like something I'd enjoy. And then I finagled my way to getting a job in Yellowstone as a housekeeper, and then quickly transferred to a wrangler at Roosevelt Lodge, and got to do some really cool stuff. I got to take people on horse rides throughout Yellowstone, and primarily in the Roosevelt area, just going out of the Roosevelt corrals. And on our off days, we were free to use the horses as long as we could ride to where we wanted to go. And so me and my buddies we'd take a horse and a fishing rod and a lunch and a few beers and maybe some whiskey and go down to the Yellowstone River and pack where nobody wanted to go and nobody could go, and cross the river, and go over a few canyons, head down to some cool spots. And I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's just kind of what led me there.
Well, it's like, for me, being from Ohio, that's shit you see on TV, and you're like living that dream. Like you see West, you think hunting, like, where I'm from in the Midwest, and hunting it's huge. Like that's tourism and hunting in Michigan is like, that's what they have. Mm-hmm. That's like national parks and stuff, and state parks and forests and stuff like that. But you guys like live that lifestyle, and what really struck me today, especially when we had this big round table, is like you're talking to like 25-year veterans in the outdoors, like nature writers, TV show, like you sounded like you've had 50 years experience in this, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I sound like a complete dipshit.
No,
it's for real. It's really impressive, man. I'm like, I love it.
I appreciate it, man. It's the podcast has taught me quite a few things about just communication and talking to people, and I don't know really where. My dad's a great public speaker. He's the type of person who is not nervous in front of a large audience, but is nervous in front of a small audience, and I'm kind of the opposite. I'm really nervous in front of a large audience, but when I see everybody's face, I feel like I can read the audience more and adapt to what they're doing. That's. I don't really have an answer for you on kind of where I got there, but I just have a real passion for the outdoors, and I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of really talented people in the outdoors, and I've been smart enough to keep my mouth shut and my ears open for the most part, and really learn as much as I can and soak it all in.
So you're out hunting this morning and the last few days, and it's no secret at this point, none of us have got a turkey, which is highly frustrating. And it's my first time out here. You guys, you've both hunted quite a bit more than me. So what do you think was going on with that? I mean, is it just late season or what's the deal? Like, there's a lot of people here that know their shit, and it makes me feel better that none of you guys got turkeys, because I don't feel so pathetic. But what do you think's going on with that?
I don't know. Turner and I were talking about that at this past hunt. He had an opportunity to shoot a bird for like 2 seconds, and something happened, and he was running through it in his head over and over and over again. Like, what happened? What went wrong? What could I do?
I'm an overanalyzer when it comes to the outdoors.
We don't really have any answers for what happened. Mm-hmm. Shit happens. It's just the way it goes. And you can talk about barometric pressure. You could talk about sun, like overcast, the time of the year, early season, late season. But I don't know. Like, I'm 21. I don't have a lot of experience doing this. But sometimes it comes together. Other times it's just tough hunting.
Well, and that's part of the thing. When I first started getting into the whole hunting thing, like I'm a pretty experienced backpacker. Like, I backcountry, all this shit. Like, that's my background. And at a certain point, that kind of stuff, it gets old. Like, you can climb higher, go further. You can go to more remote places. But hunting is never boring. Like, at this point, I'm only been in it for a little bit, and it's never boring. It's always the animals aren't static things that just like go on a reel. Like they don't.
Yep.
They're their own little creature, and they all have their own habits. Like this deer can do this deer can do this, and they all have their own personalities. And it's such a delicate and intricate like way to analyze nature. I think it's the most deep that you can be with. If you love the outdoors, I think it's the most deep you can get. I don't know if you guys agree.
It's the most intimate relationship, I would say. Along that lines, Turner and I say that you can never rely on your past experiences hunting and fishing in order to get success. And you can use
You say that.
I said you told me that once.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
So you're rubbing off on the little brother here.
But
I didn't even know it.
You can use your past experiences to try and predict what's going to happen. But I mean, like today, maybe in one situation that bird would have come in a little closer and we'd have had a bird down. But
I don't know. Turkeys are just so
turkeys
random.
are hard.
Really. I mean, they're just like you can kind of pattern them. It depends on the bird, but I've only killed maybe 4 or 5 birds where I've patterned them and be like, okay, like every day about 4 o'clock, they're going to be up at the top of this field. And for the most part, man, it just seems random.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're going to do whatever they want to do. And it seems like whenever you feel like you got them dialed in, they go on the other draw, or they go, through this thicket instead of through this little clearing where, it looks real nice to walk. And they're a bird that'll teach you a lot of things about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a double-sided thing where it's like, it's so enthralling and frustrating all in one go, because literally like 2 hours ago, I'm sitting across from where we're at right now, and I'm hearing the turkey. It's below me. I'm looking. I'm on the edge. I cannot see it, but it's calling. I'm calling back. And, everything that I've learned in the last couple of days, it's like, don't overcall. Don't overanalyze. Just take, and like, it's like they fuck with you on purpose. They're just like trying to ruin your day.
They do, but you gotta fuck with them back a little bit. Like, you have to initiate the curiosity factor. Mm-hmm. But there are certain rules about the curiosity of a turkey, right? They will only play with you so much. Mm-hmm. So, the overcalling, right? Turkeys are designed to, let me back up even further. Every animal in nature, pretty much, birds primarily. The male is the showy one, mm-hmm. right? And that's the opposite in humans. So typically, you have the guy in humans. You have the guys going to the girls, asking the girls out. Because they're the pretty ones. In nature, in the birds, turkeys, you have the girls going to the guys because they're the pretty ones. They're the ones that gobble and show their stuff. When you're turkey hunting, you're trying to do the exact opposite of the laws of nature. Mm-hmm. And so already you're fucking with them.
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, they know what's up. They've been doing this for their whole lives. They've been having girls come to them their whole lives, right? And they may have to fight other males for that right, for, to gobble and strut in a certain field or a certain area.
That's where we're similar.
Yeah. But it's turkeys just, you have to get within a certain area. They will only give you so much. Mm-hmm. And so you have what's called the bubble. And the bubble is generally 100 to 150 yards. And you have to be inside of that bubble before you start calling in order to even get a consideration from that bird. You can call all day long to the bird across the ridge. He's not going to come. Mm-hmm. He'll respond. He'll want you to come to him, but he's not going to come. I mean, maybe under a rare circumstance. But if you're inside of that bubble, you're in the game.
See, I tried that this morning. I tried following the bird, and I ran into you guys. And you called Gene, the owner of the ranch, and you're like, "There's a poacher out here." I almost died because I ran into you guys this morning, and that's a good feeling. That's a good way to make friends. No, I felt like such a dickhead. I was like, Derek texted me. I was already feeling like shit from drinking too much last night. I'm just like, God, I'm such an asshole. But you guys took it well. You took
Don't
it
worry
well,
about
better
it.
than I expected.
Hey, the birds already came through. We already messed up our chance. So
Well, I learned a lot this morning too, just trying to stalk. I mean, I'm so far out of my element here. I'm literally on the exact opposite end of the country from where I live. This terrain is insane. It's like rocky. I'm like trying not to eat shit every step I take, and it's beautiful land. And like me, I'm always fucking with my camera. I can't help myself. Yeah, I told myself to hunt, and I'm still fucking with the camera. I just like the weirdest shit happens when you're out in nature. Just like of all the things that could have happened this morning. Literally laying under a tree, just chilling, did a couple of calls sitting there, and nothing. It's dead silent. I'm like, well, shit, I'm just going to keep bouncing around and try and hang by the trees cover and just stay low, and literally come around a brush pile, and there's a Tom just there with 5 hens, and I'm like, I just fucked my whole day up. He saw me, and they just slinked away like it was no big deal. I was like, he's gone. It's over with. And you guys probably saw him this morning because it was probably right above you. It was like...
we didn't see that. We didn't see any birds that spooked.
Really? Mm-mm. They didn't freak out. They like
walk off. Yeah.
I came around they're tearing all the cedar trees out here, so it was like a big piles of brush everywhere, and I just came around this blind corner of it, and they were just there, like probably like 50 yards, 60 yards.
They start
out.
like clucking at you?
No.
Really?
I crouched real slow, and I looked, and I think one of the hens saw me, and she started moving away, and they all just went behind a brush pile, and I tried to come around the opposite end, and they were just gone like ghosts. It was crazy. And you just like, that's shit you learn though, and that's like, you don't get that on a hunting show. You see that in real life, and you're like, okay, next time I need to like go even slower. I need to chill the fuck out and just be I guess more cognizant of what's going on. Because like we suck at being quiet in the woods. I'm like trying to be quiet, and it's like it's terrible. But I would like to point out that Hayden has a fucking killer mullet right now. I wasn't gonna comment on it, but if you're not watching it, dude, what's the inspiration here? Come on.
The inspiration for the mullet. Let's see.
Good taste.
Joe Dirt.
So. Joe Dierte.
Yes.
The inspiration for the mullet. So my house and I decided to have an 80s theme birthday night. So I dressed up as Top Gun and got a mullet. Yeah. And I've had it ever since. And, my argument is if there's ever a time and place to have a mullet, it's right now in Bozeman.
They're trending, man.
They're coming back. I was going to dial it in before I came here, but couldn't get a haircut at Great Clips. They had a 2-hour wait.
What? You can walk into a Great Clips in Ohio anytime, man.
When I go back, it's getting dialed. I'm getting a...
razor, like you getting lightning bolts down the side?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Your brother is like, do not do that, please.
I mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm a little more concerned about what my mom's going to say to you.
Oh, I don't care.
You're in college, dude.
She said she hated it, but I'm going to walk in there with my Stetson on. I'm going to say everything below the hat line, keep. Everything above is gone.
That's the one thing that is sweet about out west is you can get away with wearing a cowboy hat. If I wore a cowboy hat in Ohio, someone would kick my ass, probably.
Why?
Like, what is this dude doing? They'd at least make fun of me.
Why?
There's no cowboys in Ohio. What the hell are we doing
There
out there?
are cowboys everywhere,
No.
man. Yeah.
I ain't no cowboy. I just trout
Cowboys
fish.
everywhere.
Yeah, but you live in Montana. That's another thing. Dude, I have zero experience fly fishing at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's
come to
so
Montana.
iconic. Well, I'd love to. Yeah, we'll have to make that happen someday. I'll take it. I'll fuck your trip up out there too. It'll be totally fine. But so I was listening to some of your episodes on the way here on the plane ride. You got some long episodes. That's you have a talent for talking. You're just good at it.
I might have a talent for not being able to shut my mouth. But
That's perfect. That's why you have a podcast. That's why they exist.
I appreciate that. I liked about the hour and a half mark.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It gives a deep enough dive without. It just depends on the guest, man. Like, I like to be able to meet the guest and hang out with the guest and go fishing with the guest, beforehand. But usually, right now, man, most of my stuff is done over Zoom, and it totally sucks. Like, my first, I think, 8 episodes were all in person. It was great. And then the pandemic hit, and just started doing them over Zoom.
Well, so little tidbits here and there. You know, when you listen to other people's podcasts, you just get like glimpses into their life because you're hosting, but you're guest. For me, the guest is always the focus. Like, I'll anecdote here and there and tell some bullshit, but it's like, I want you to tell your stories. And you brought up, you went to, you've been to Africa. You've been to, where, South America? Dude,
Central
that's
America.
like Central America.
And South America.
Yeah.
That is dream. What the hell are you doing over there?
So junior year of high school, I got invited to Bolivia to do some pigeon hunting. And then 2 years later, had a chance to repeat that trip with my brother and my dad. I went with my grandfather first time, and he took us again. Pigeon hunting, dude, you talking about shooting birds. me and this other guy shot, I don't want to overestimate, but
600, 700,000.
I think we shot 700 in the afternoon.
That's nuts.
Between two people.
Yeah.
And they decoy the pigeons down there. So they got these spinning decoys, and they come in and they hover, and you're just knocking them down. Like, bam, 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 like over and over and over again. And you got a guide with a counter. It's incredible.
Are there limits down there?
No.
Absolutely not. I mean, they're like a pest, man. They go in there and they eat all. It's like the similar situation to the Argentinian dove hunting. And they just go in there, and it's like locusts, man. They just raid everything. Yep. That little place is a funny place. It's in Bolivia, and it's not quite in the jungle, like where you see all the like golden dorado caught and the big jaguars and stuff. And the jaguars were where we were, but they're more frequent in the jungle.
Yep.
But man, there's this little Mennonite community there, and they're funny people, man. I love going places and seeing the culture. These Mennonite. Have you ever seen a Mennonite colony?
Well, I mean, we got like the Amish up in Ohio. I think it's
similar.
Similar, yeah.
But they don't have no electricity, no nothing.
Different rules, like strange rules. The Mennonites couldn't have rubber wheels, and so they had these like ton, metal tractor wheels, and their bicycles couldn't have pedals. So
it's like a bicycle scooter.
Yeah, it was like a bike scooter. Wagons everywhere. They could only use gas, for their lighting. A weird story, but man. And then I go back and I watch this documentary on Vice, and it's the same village, and I'm like, holy crap! Like we were there, we were pigeon hunting, and I recognized kind of like the roads and stuff, and the guides down there were telling me a little bit about what happened, and the Mennonites down there there was a string of like rapings in the Mennonite community, and they would go into a house, and it's a brick house with no electricity, no smoke detector, no carbon monoxide detector, no nothing, and they would run like an engine or something with carbon monoxide into the window. They would crack a window, whole house would go out. Then they would do their bad business and come out, and that was going on for years, and I don't think that they were able to remember this. Like they would just wake up
like
on the floor and be like, "What in the world happened?" And it was going on for a while. And other than that, they were real nice people. And they had a kind of a customary dress, and they were really nice. And they actually spoke German down there. Yep. And so it was just kind of like a weird clash of cultures. And I mean, I might have enjoyed that more than the hunting. I mean, the hunting was fantastic, and that story about the serial rapist might have put a bad taste in your mouth about the Mennonites down there. But they're bad people in every culture. No.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it is. I would never have thought that there'd be a Mennonite colony down there. That's very strange.
Yeah, they came over. I got the owner of the lodge tell me the whole history. They were persecuted. Do you remember? They were persecuted for some sort of religious reason. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was being Mennonites. And it wasn't from Germany. I don't know why they spoke German.
Well, what is it? The Amish, they said they speak like Old Dutch or something. I believe, I'll get torn up for saying it wrong, but I believe it's some dialect of German. It's the same, it's like the same branch of like thought culturally, but they're like the
very
Amish
similar.
are very strict. Like no electricity, no nothing. Like they can't drive car. I might be wrong. I get them mixed up, but it's the Mennonites and the Amish are very similar. But one of them, they can't even like get a ride in a car. Like they just gotta.
Yeah, man. So we might have like, we might have gotten a kid in like some major trouble.
Hell yeah.
We
Yeah.
So we were on a duck hunt down there because they have fantastic duck hunting down there too, and
Brazilian
we were on this
teal.
yeah Brazilian teal whole list of subspecies, and we were on this pond. It's just the middle of freaking nowhere. There's like no rivers anywhere. You wouldn't think there would be a duck in 100 miles, but there are these series of ponds there, and it's like a national park down there, man. I mean, it's absolutely insane, and they're just teal piling in, and I mean, we killed.
Dad and I killed
triple
60.
digits. Maybe the whole group was triple digits, but anyway, they're piling in there, and this little Mennonite boy and Mennonite girl are kind of looking and seeing what we're doing, and they're hearing the shots, and then they start walking closer to us, and they're standing in the middle of the field. Ducks are still just piling in. And we get done shooting, and we go and start, picking all the gear up, gathering the ducks and everything, and they're starting to wander over and just kind of check us out. And we have our cameras there. And well, I hesitate to tell this story, but we start taking pictures of everybody.
Yeah.
And when we pull out the camera, we see the Mennonite boy and girl kind of look at us like, what is that? Like what? Like they've never seen it before. And so we walk up to him and like, hey man, like, what's going on? Nothing. Like they don't understand us. So I was like, let me show you something like real quick. And I took a picture of him and I showed it to him, and his eyes got real big, and we were just like showing him things with the camera. Like, yeah, this is what we saw. This is what we saw. We realized later, like, that probably was a horrible idea because that kid might be like ruined for life. Now, we weren't even thinking about it, but they have an absolute ban on technology. Technology's the devil. Kid's never seen a picture of himself, and we were out there just showing him pictures and he was taking photos and stuff like that, and it's an interesting experience.
Yeah, but
to say
that's
the least.
Anytime. My background's culture and anthropology degree, so like. Anytime cultures mix, like, you don't know. Like that's not. It's just part of the gig, man. You travel around the world.
I'm not saying like we like intentionally did that, but after the fact, we were like, oh crap, like we probably shouldn't have done that.
Well, it's tough because in America, we just basically do whatever the fuck we want. We just go around and do anything. Like it's pretty awesome. And we were talking earlier, Hayden, about it's like kind of like a philosophy on life. About like just not bitching about everything all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get away from that because all the stuff that we deal with nowadays is super negative, and it's just like you're kind of conditioned to be in like that bad mind space, and it's really refreshing to be here because everybody here is so driven. I mean, Derek put this whole thing together, and everybody's just like said they'd show up, and we're all here. It's crazy. Like it's really rare to meet a group of people that just say, hell yeah, I'll be there, and they show up. So it's really refreshing. So yeah, why don't you elaborate on that a little bit, man? Because I know it's
the
a
complaining.
Big, yeah, like why? Like your philosophy on that.
Basically, what I told you is that there's a difference between complaining about something and venting to find a solution. Complaining about something is sitting in that negative emotion and bitching about something. Oh, this job. Oh, my girlfriend. Oh, this and oh that. And venting to find a solution is, oh, my girlfriend sucks, so I'm going to break up with her. Or like, oh, this job sucks, so I'm going to find a new one. There's a huge difference between those.
Yeah, and well, it's just kind of like this whole trip has been awesome, and for me, it's been like almost life-changing, dude. It's been really refreshing, and not a single person came back from this whole trip complaining that nobody got a turkey. Everyone was just thrilled, like a little kid, just like, yeah, it's sweet, we got to hang out. And I think it's the like literally the room, everybody in the room is just like, hell yeah, everybody's super proud. We had
up, brother.
Yeah, we had a 100 an hour and 20-minute round table, and nobody's like cutting each other off and over talking. Like that happens a lot. You talk to people and they just and everybody's so on the same level with what they're thinking. And Turner, you brought up a good point earlier. You said we were talking about conservation, and you everything's very like goal driven with everyone here. Like you were like, okay, here's the problem. Everybody, say people want to get hunting. There's no place in a lot of areas for people to go. Right. So you take friends out, and then they want to get into it, and there's nowhere for them to go. It's all private land. And I'd never have thought about that, because I literally started this whole thing because, like, where I'm from, it's hard to get people outside. And, like, I've been thinking about that all day. I'm sitting out there by myself in the dead silent of Texas, and I'm just thinking, like, what do you think? What's a solution we can get more people out, like hunting specifically, because that's what we were talking about. But, like, that's a hard question. That is hard to think about, because it's like there is only so much land.
And that's kind of why I asked. Yeah, because I don't have a solution. It really
screwed my brain up.
I don't think that. I think that everyone can benefit from experiences in the outdoors. Oh, yeah. I don't think that everybody's made for a career in the outdoors or a love for backpacking or fishing or hunting or whatever. They may be interested in other things, and that's totally cool. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a weird thing though when you, like, I've taken several buddies and they've loved going on the hunt, and I've gotten them to kill birds, kill deer, whatever, and then they never go again. I'm like, man, why didn't you go? Well, I don't have a place to go. Like, I'm like, you're my hunting. You know, mm-hmm. like you're my only connection to that world. It's different in different places. Like, mm-hmm. if you want to get into hunting, Montana is one of the best places to do it, because there are so many organizations like BHA, Backcountry Hunters Association, Wild Sheep Foundation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. There's the BLM land. There's the National Forest land. There's state land. There's, probably 30% of the state's public. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And so there's so many resources for you to turn to. There's also less of a stigma from non-hunters in Montana. Yeah. I feel like within the cities, and especially in the South, hunters are thought of by non-hunters as just kind of like sitting in deer stands, like drinking beer and shooting deer as they walk by. Mm-hmm. And I every chance I get to modify that stigma, I take it. And I'll be talking to somebody, and they're like, oh, this fucking hunter, whatever. And we'll have a 30-minute conversation, not even related to hunting. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I love hunting. Yeah. Hunting's like my favorite thing in the world. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not like that. Yeah. And very few people are. And I think it starts with education. And what you really need is a mentor. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard to find. There has to be trust in both parties of the mm-hmm. relationship. Mm-hmm. You have to know somebody, like, say somebody from the city goes and wants to get into hunting. Well, all your friends are in the city. Yeah. They're going out to bars and playing music or whatever they love to do, not related to hunting. And I don't really have an answer for you, honestly. It's something that I've been pondering for a long time myself too. And I think that sharing, like, what hunting means to you, and also the things that you've learned about yourself and the things that you've experienced in the woods, I think that's a really good start.
I think so many more people. I'm with you. I totally get that not everyone is going to get into the outdoors, either at a basic level. Like, I have family members, if they go out in the park and they have bug lands on, they lose their shit. Like, it's not for them. That's totally fine. Yeah. But there are so many people that could benefit from it. And I was talking to Chester about this the other day. We're just sitting around bullshitting, and it's like, a lot. I like to read. I like to just, like, kind of keep my brain moving, because there's not a lot to do, and work in media. So it's just like staring at a computer all day just fries your freaking brain, man. Mm-hmm. So you read a lot of these books to, like, CEOs, business owners, and all they talk about, it's just like a joke in my mind at this point. Like, you can pick up any self-help book, and the first chapter they're going to be like, you need to meditate. You need to meditate, bro. Meditate. You'll be a millionaire. Like, that's what this is. In a roundabout way, I feel like we're all boiling down to the same basic principles. Mm-hmm. Like, you get out there and you sit and you're, like you have to pay attention. You're listening for noise. You're focused. But your brain, you get to shut that off. You get to shut off the Instagram feed, and it's still tempting. You're out there, you're taking photos and shit because we all have media channels, and that's what we do. But like, you're in the moment more so than you ever are. I feel like because even at school, you're just like it's work. You're like you probably don't dig it all the time, and you're out in nature, and it's just you, bugs, sticks poking your ass and you're sitting on the ground. It's just beautiful, man. I love it. Do you guys get like that same vibe from being outdoors, or I might just sound like a hippie idiot?
No, for sure. Like, I definitely think that getting outside keeps me sane. Whatever that is, if that's hiking or hunting or fishing, whatever it is. I mean, that's how I stay sane is getting outside.
Yeah.
And going back to the point of, how do you get outside? Quick backstory. So my freshman year of college, I went to college in Tennessee, was a film major and ended up not liking it and decided to do a Knowles course to Alaska, which changed my life. And before I went to Knowles, I also decided to transfer to Montana State because I knew that after that Knowles trip, if I went back to school in Tennessee, that I would not be happy. So that was how I, really got into that backcountry, getting after it, was learning those skills from Knowles. And, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of expensive to do that. But it boils down to about $175 a day to do those trips, which is cheaper than any guided thing that you would ever do. So if anyone's listening to this, like I had people on my trip who had never been camping, and we go out for 30 days in Grizz country. We run into bull moose and everything. Like, it got gnarly.
Yeah.
So that's a way that you can get into it, and those are skills that I learned that I then transferred into hunting, and I'm confident, camping in Grizz country now in Montana, which there are a lot of grizzly bears in Montana.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think comfortable is a strong word. I'm still not comfortable in Grizz country.
I definitely would not.
Well, more confident. I mean, before Alaska, it's like, well, yeah, I've gone camping and I've done one-nighters and car camping and whatever, but like, honestly, my biggest influence was the Instagram influencers. I'm seeing pictures of Glacier National Park, and I'm sitting there in Tennessee, staring at a computer all day doing these film classes, and I'm like, God, I got to get out there, sign up for that Knowles trip. Now I'm living that lifestyle, in Montana with my brother. I've told Turner this, that Turner and I are literally living in a river runs through it. Two brothers trout fishing in Montana.
Dude, it's super awesome that you guys have that bond as brothers. Like, it's, like my brother, he'll hunt with me. Like, he lived in Texas for a while, and he's done like, he's had buddies down here. Like, everybody's got a buddy down here. Derek, that they're like, hey man, I know a guy, he's got a place, we can go down and hunt this weekend. He doesn't have anybody on the property, and he's done some hog hunting and stuff, but like, we're not in the same level. I feel like you guys, like, you're out here all weekend together and doing this stuff. You sound like you do this stuff together all the time, and it's like, I'm sure you guys fight, your brothers, you get into it every once in a while, but like, to have that mentoring, like you're talking about, you teach each other stuff that and that's so badass, dude. Like, that's a great thing to have. Like, it's a tight knit family. Like, I come from a tight knit family, so like, I know I'm just the outdoors guy. Like, my dad was outdoorsy, but like, he made us get our hunting permits when we were like 14 or whatever, and I brought it with me in case I needed it here. And the great thing about the U.S. is I've never once been asked to prove that I've had my hunter safety course. But
really? I get asked every time I buy a tag.
Really?
In Montana, yeah.
We went to academy, and I just pulled in, and I handed her my ID, and they spelled my name wrong, messed it all. It was great.
That's the great state of Texas.
But man, I was really stoked when you showed up with a camera. I was like, thank God I'm not the only one. You make some great stuff. You were showing me some stuff. I've seen a little bit of stuff that you put out.
Appreciate it.
I think that's important because that I would say I got into the outdoors heavy because of those documentaries. Like we're talking like 15, 20 years ago at this point. I forget how old I am sometimes. Like watching that shit, that epic shit, it just makes you want to go.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's part of the reason I picked up a camera is, seeing these BBC documentaries of giant trevally eating pigeons out of the air and, cheetahs in Africa and everything. God, I want to be the dude behind the camera. Like from a young age, I realized that someone is there filming that. That is someone's job. And Turner and I recently split the Turner Rowland podcast, Equity 50-50. And Turner is the host and does all the business stuff, and I'm the creative media side. So, two brothers, fishing partners, hunting partners, podcast partners, living the life out here.
Yeah, dude. You guys got it. It's going to be huge. What's the collective? I know that's a thing that's growing up, the Waypoint Collective, I believe it is. What's that all about?
It's a space to advertise and collaborate across platforms, and so it gives you a space on Waypoint. And so Waypoint TV, for those that don't know, is basically Netflix for outdoor shows, fishing and hunting shows. They now have a podcast section, and it lists all the podcasts in the collective. And so when someone is watching, a super popular show like Derek's friends, the Hunting Public, it was on Waypoint,
great
or
stuff.
Saltwater Experience or Into the Blue or whatever they may be watching that's on Waypoint, and they click on that podcast tab. Well, you're included in that group, and you're a part of that group. That comes with a lot of advantages. Like you can, so one guy I'm trying to get on the podcast, shout out to Ben O'Brien at Meat Eater in Bozeman. I've met him a couple times. Fantastic dude. Just kind of waiting for the right time to reach out. Yeah. If, say, Derek has Ben O'Brien on the podcast, I can be like, hey, man, you know what? I'm looking to get Ben on the podcast. So, do you have like his contact information and stuff like that? And there'll be basically a form that you fill out and says, is this okay for any podcast on the collective to contact you, yes or no? And so if they check no, then, Derek will check in with Ben and see if that's okay. But it provides a lot of guests, it provides a lot of collaboration. And so, one of the things that we're trying to do is each like new podcast that comes on, like we're gonna like write an article and get like the new podcaster on a bunch of podcasts. Basically, like we're all just trying to grow together and establish an environment for success. And then the advertisements. So like based on your viewership, you get X amount of portion of the total revenue of the advertisements for Waypoint. That also comes with several advantages that you're partnering with larger companies like Yeti and I don't Mountain Tough or whatever is sponsoring the podcast at that time. And you also get to work with that company and have those connections. So it's just it's really focused on the podcaster and really focused on growing the podcast, because the best way to grow a podcast is to do exactly what we're doing right now, like be on other people's podcasts and get your name out there. And that's just kind of a way to do that.
Who's I need to phrase this carefully. Who's your most entertaining guest you've had so far? We'll put it that way. I don't want to say favorites, because that's not fair, because I couldn't tell you either.
I don't know, man. Lou was pretty entertaining.
I can't wait to hear that podcast.
Yeah, he what a rock star.
Talking
literally
Lou
and figuratively.
Yeah.
We dove right into it. We started talking about bow hunting turkeys, and then we started talking about eating snails in France. And then we started talking about getting chased by polar bears in Norway. I mean, just all these crazy stories that he has. And
so you got all the good stories out.
No, dude. That guy, he didn't tell. Did he tell the moose story on any podcast?
I don't know. He didn't. He might have told it on my podcast.
I hope he did.
I don't know. I was nervous as shit, man.
Yeah.
Dude's I can't believe he was on my podcast. Let's just put it that way.
He's a legend, man.
He's a fucking legend.
He's a legend. Nicest guy.
Yeah, he's.
I love people like that.
He's so just
that
a
are
regular
legends.
dude.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know it.
I about ripped my beard off last night, dude. Derek made a crawfish boil last night. Well, I don't know. I'll speak for myself. A little wasted. And I was sitting there talking to Lou Marullo, a.k.a. Eric Adams, lead singer of Manowar, and took a picture together. He reached up and he grabbed my beard and he pulled it down. I was like, holy fuck, dude. He's strong. He's a little guy. He's strong as hell. But he is an outdoorsman. Mm-hmm. I love that. Yep. He's a cool dude.
Just a regular dude, man.
Yeah. The nerves left by today when he left. Mm-hmm. So I was nervous as shit. I never had anybody like that on my podcast except Derek.
Yeah.
He's sitting right here. That's why we keep bringing him up and making fun of him. He's just sitting here like staring at us.
But yeah. I mean, just Lou. Who else? I'm trying to think of like entertaining, kind of like out there guests. My friend Brendan. He's kind of like an alien.
That's a good description of people. I like them.
He's the weirdest guy I know.
That's good, though.
And
such a good dude.
When I tell him that's his favorite thing that I ever tell him. It's that kind of level of weird, man. He's a great dude. But boy, is he strange.
It's good to have friends like that.
I love him, though. He's so funny, so nice. He's awesome. Great fishing partner, great friend. Who else have I really had that has been like noteworthy
But it doesn't have to be I'm just talking like cool shit they've done. You know, like just like you're like when you have people on your show and you're talking to them and you're just like, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course, both of you.
Yeah, of course, Hayden.
Yeah, I talked to this guy, Eric Schlimmer, dude, super cool, super accomplished, like backcountry author, wizard guy. He's just like, dude just climbs mountains on his time off. He's climbed like every fucking mountain on the east coast of America. Like, no joke. He's like, dude's impressed. Like, I could say that hands down, like one of my favorite podcasts ever, because you hear these like, that's why I love this so much, is you hear these stories of people and like, it just blows your mind. Like, how does this person do these things? How does this person climb every mountain in the Adirondack State Park? How does this person climb every mountain in? I mean, you might want to talk to. I know you're more focused on hunting and stuff. This dude is a machine. He mountain biked the whole southern border of Mexico. You guys are talking about.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, Chester was talking about that yesterday. We were all sitting around at breakfast or something. We were just talking at our mid-afternoon, and he's like, "Yeah, all this border stuff's crazy," and that's all I thought was, "Oh my god, he rode that on a bike, just like by himself."
He's a psychopath.
Yeah, he's
That's
a
insane.
machine. He's a monster. But anyway,
insane.
This is a podcast about you guys. I want to hear about Africa though. That's like dream destination for me. I like ever since I've been a little kid. I mean, that's like every little nature nerd kid's dream. But like, I would take just cameras. I'd like not bring any underwear. That's all I would take as a camera. I would just pack my bag full of cameras, malaria pills, and just go to town.
Yeah, well, Hayden's more of the camera guy. I mean, I'm getting into it, but he's the real talent. But to answer your previous question, just kind of throw a guess, real exciting guest names out there. Fred Fenizi. Okay. He was the last guy I interviewed that's out. He's killed 23 out of 29 big game animals in the North American Super Slam, ranging all the way from brown bear to caribou to blacktail, Colombian blacktail deer to whitetail deer, everything like that. And he's just a good dude. But I mean, hey, you probably want to talk to Hayden about Africa.
I want to hear it.
What do you want to hear about?
Mullets. No, I want to hear. What were you doing there?
So our grandparents, we were extremely fortunate enough that our grandparents took us on a 2-week safari. So we spent 1 week in Zambia and another week in Zimbabwe.
No, we spent 1 week in Zambia and another week in Zimbabwe, but we were on the border of Zambia and I just said what you said. 1 week in Zambia and another week in South Africa. On different game reserves. And remember, the one in South Africa was like completely different terrain, like more desert.
Yeah.
And then Mala Mala,
which was my favorite.
Yeah, was in Zambia. But we were at Victoria Falls, which is the river, River Victoria, or Victoria River. splits Zambia and Zimbabwe, and so that's where we were staying. But the second one was in South Africa. Remember, it had like the Forerunner instead of the Land Rovers.
Yeah, dude. Africa was insane. Probably one of the best night skies that I've ever seen. I remember we were out on a safari, and it got dark quick, and our guide was driving us back to the lodge, and then he just stopped the car and turned everything off, and we just sat there, and I was like, what is going on? And then I remember just going, oh my God, every star was out. It was incredible. I wish that I had the camera that I do today to do like a long exposure. We saw everything. We saw cheetahs, hyenas, lions, Cape buffalo, rhinoceros. Dude, it was unbelievable.
I'm gonna have to go to Jack Shack after this, dude.
I got a story about the predators.
Yeah.
There. So we were in this game reserve, Mala Mala, and that was the one in Zambezi or Zimbabwe, and the guides they kept on like hinting that something happened in the room that my parents were staying in, and they were just like, oh yeah, you should have been here last week, and like shit like that. And so finally my dad was like, man, like what happened? What happened in our room? Like, was there like a demon or something? Like, what's going on? And he's like, no, I don't want to, no. And so we finally get to the end of the week, and he gets to know us a little better, and he gets to know that we're, like just
chill,
kind of just chill guys, and we're looking at the lions and like just comparing it to like grizzly bears in Montana, and just like how different they are, and lions in Montana. And so he's like, all right, here's what happened. They get all the guests out of Mala Mala, right? And they're doing like the housekeeping. And they get them all out, and they wait till the next morning to do the housekeeping. And the housekeepers are walking to the like hut that my parents are sleeping in. And keep in mind, like it's basically like a little trapper camp in the middle of old school frontierland Montana. Like that's the good analogy for it. Like there's nothing else there but lions and leopards and game animals. And so they're walking to this hut, and there's a trail of blood leading to the hut. And they turn around and they go get the guide with the guns. And there's a leopard eating an impala in the room that my parents were staying in a week before.
Holy shit.
So Mala Mala was on the river, and we're eating dinner on the back. Elephants are walking by. Dude, it was like when Turner says that we're in the heartland of it, like we are foreigners. We are not supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the thing that attracts a lot of people to like Africa is just like, oh, all the endangered species, it's so pretty, and they like look at like the WWF posters and like, oh, how cute, but like that's like some savage shit out there. Like that shit you don't have to think of.
It's metal, bro.
Yeah, nature is metal.
It's metal, bro. It's it's a whole different ball. I think that's why I'm attracted to it, because like I know you guys probably don't think so after this weekend, but I just love nasty, brutal shit. Like sitting out there all hungover this morning, I love that. I just felt like ass. I'm just like, this is what it's all about, baby. Like I live for like the disgusting side of nature, and you know, like people say like, oh, I love to be outside in the rain. I'm like, have you ever walked outside in a fucking blizzard and your eyes burn? Like I just go to the park and I'm just like, yeah, this is nice, man. Like I don't know why. I think I hate myself. I'm not really sure what the hell's going on with that. But Africa is like primal. Like I think that's what it all boils down to with a lot of us is like hunting, fishing, whatever. That's some primal shit. Like you versus an animal. Like we think we're smart as hell because we have smartphones and fucking GoPros and shit. Yeah, I got outsmarted by a fucking bird with a brain that's like the size of a pea. Inferior.
And you have a gun.
And I have a high-powered projectile.
And you're wearing camo.
That costs hundreds of dollars. I flew on a fucking plane
Doesn't work worth shit.
Yeah, didn't work at all. I paid extra money to kill something that is smarter than me.
You want to hear some gnarly shit?
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's hear it. I want the nastiest shit.
So I was sea kayaking in Prince William Sound and on my Knowles trip, and we were doing a crossing from one coast to the other, and we see this humpback whale surface and, spray up, get a breath of air. Well, it surfaced about 50 yards from us. We paddle over to it. Dude, smelled like shit. And then we had this other day called, after it was done, we named it the Apocalypse. Wake up, it's raining, take down our tent in the rain. I'm sure you can relate to this during the Appalachian Trail. Dude, it sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But one of my fondest memories in the outdoors of, waking up in the rain, taking down the tent in the rain, cooking in the rain, paddling 14 miles in the rain, and it's 34 degrees.
Holy shit.
And then we park on this beach, get our kayaks up, and the beach was like these tiny rocks. It's chafing the shit out of us. Mm-hmm. Set up our tent in the rain. Everything is soaked. And I remember, shout out to my buddy on the trip, Nick Malhotra. I remember him and I sitting under the tarp, cooking dinner, and we just look at each other. We just started dying laughing. We started dying laughing. We're like, dude, this fucking sucks. It's like, this sucks. But like, him and I knew in that moment that day would be remembered for the rest of our lives. And it's those moments that shit sucks. Mm-hmm. It's like, humans we're so advanced that we can come back to a warm bed, and eventually, if you don't die, eventually you're gonna have a warm shower, you're gonna get in your car and whatever. And it's like, knowing that and being in the suck and looking forward to that warm shower and, smelling like shit for a month. Dude. That first shower. Oh my God.
Nothing better than that first shower.
Nothing better.
And it's so funny you say that, because I literally just said that same damn thing to somebody like a few weeks ago on an episode I was talking. I was like, that shit that sucks like now, like it's like, that's the shit you look back on. You're like, remember when we that fucking thing ripped that dude's face off? That was great, dude. Then you have a podcast about it. But before we wrap this up, guys, I'm playing Russian roulette right now. One of these cameras is only an hour on the memory card. I don't know which one it is, so I'm just taking my chances right now. But why don't you let us know where people can find you? I mean, Turner Rowland podcast is pretty easy to find, but if you guys got like more contact info, personal Instagrams, all that stuff, so we can get you some more whatever. Not that your podcast probably gets a shitload more than mine, but that's cool.
Oh, I don't know about that. But I appreciate it. You can find Turner Rowland podcast on anywhere that podcasts are available: Apple, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. Turner Rowland podcast on Instagram and Facebook. My personal Instagram, if you want to see kind of what I'm up to in the mountains and in trout streams and down on the Keys and all the things I like to spend my time doing. It's Turner Rowland 1, TURNER ROWLAND 1. If you have questions or suggestions for my podcast, or even if you want to be a guest, you can email me at turnerrowlandpodcast@gmail.com.
Amazing.
And I have my own personal Instagram, Hayden_Rowland_ HAYDEN ROWLAND. That's my personal page. Post all my little edits, everything I'm up to.
Sick mullet pics.
The sick mullet pics soon to come.
I'll be there.
So you can contact me if you want to. I check DMs, not that often, but I'll get to it eventually. I will answer eventually.
Like when I said, I think I fucked up your hunt, sorry. And you answered me like, fuck you, dude. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. I know it's late. You guys got to get up at like 4 or some shit to go to the airport. So I appreciate you taking the time out and bullshitting with me for an hour. So in the whole weekend.
I appreciate you, Paul. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Peace out.
Peace.
See ya.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of the Aptitude Outdoors podcast here on YouTube. Please help me out. Go down below, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're feeling extra frisky this afternoon, you can go over to iTunes or Stitcher, find the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, and leave a rating or review. I'd super appreciate that. I want to take a minute to thank Turner and Hayden for coming on. We were up pretty late that night. They had to get up super early. It felt kind of bad, but thanks guys for coming on and sharing your awesome stories from all over the freaking globe. It was such a good time and I really appreciate it. Make sure you head over to the Turner Rowland podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and check that out. Great stuff. He's on Instagram all the time too. Check that out. He has got some great content, and I appreciate you guys all watching this. And before we go, I'm going to take a quick word here from the sponsors of the event. All right, first up, there's Chicken Boy Lures, who arguably have the greatest backstory of all time, which you can check out on their website at chickenboylures.com. They have plenty of proven baits to choose from, including the Whippin' Chicken, the Bubba Clucker, the Psycho Chicken, and the world-famous Chicken Chip Butt Sauce. Up next, we have Captain Experiences, where adventurers are able to search captainexperiences.com to find their fishing trips that meet their criteria, compare and contrast them, book within seconds, and show up to the dock with a great understanding who they're meeting and what they'll be doing. Guides can focus on fishing, knowing that Captain Experiences will take care of the rest. And last but not least, there's Saltwater Recon. By utilizing the latest technology and live, high-definition interactive webcams, saltwaterrecon.com is the know-before-you-go resource for millions of people, whether boating, fishing, or observing real-time coastal conditions. Saltwaterrecon.com's array of HD cameras, combined with expert boating, fishing, and weather content, will give visitors the information needed to plan a safe and successful day on the water. I would like to quickly mention the Double Draw Ranch for hosting us down there, Spot Stalker Guide Service, which is Derek's guide service. Really should check that out if you're ever down in Texas. The Vanessa House Beer Company for giving us tons of beer to drink, which is good. Thank you for that. And 7 Day Addiction and Metro Emergency Upfitters. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.